Guys, I can't resist crushing this guy. He's the host of the Manning Report, whoever his name is. He criticized Obama with racial slurs in '08, but at the same time, the same guy that bashed Obama with racial slurs just happens to be black as well. Just pointing it out. I'm just pointing out the irony of it. Anyway, let's see how gays spread Ebola at Starbucks through this guy's point of view.
As the Ebola watch continues here on the Manning Report, I want to raise a couple of issues about Starbucks, coffee lounge, stores.
Okay, before I continue, doesn't he sound like Fat Albert? Doesn't he sound like Fat Albert in a lot of ways? I mean, I'll put the description to the video below. He looks like Fat Albert, an older version of Fat Albert, but he definitely sounds like Bill Cosby doing a bad impersonation of Fat Albert. Just pointing it out.
Globally, but especially here in America at the present moment, that Starbucks coffee stores are indeed ground zero for spreading Ebola.
Okay. Pause, lunatic. Now, Starbucks is ground zero for spreading Ebola. What is your thesis behind that idiotic statement? I'm curious.
Other diseases because of the clientele of Starbucks.
And who's the clientele? Are you talking about liberals? Are you talking about conservatives? Are you talking about film critics? Are you talking about businessmen, businesswomen? Who are you talking about?
Generally upscale sodomites who...
Okay. He said sodomites, so he's talking about gay people and people of the LBGT community. So, okay. Just to be clear, he's talking about gay people. And he's only targeting gay people with this hate speech. Continue on, crazy guy.
Frequent Starbucks who sit there with their computers and it's a meeting place.
Okay, to that extent, he's right. People do go to Starbucks, they're on their computers, and yes, it is more so a liberal meeting place. I will give him credit to that extent, because that is partially true. But let's see what other maniac things he has to say.
Strange, a lot of body fluids, hands shaking, and
Okay. You run this whole ministry show. You should know, if you ever gone to church, you get more germs from people you shake hands with at church than you do if you shake one person's hand at Starbucks. Okay? You get more germs from somebody who you have no idea who they are, you have no idea if they went to the bathroom and do wash their hands and they're at church. You have more possibility of getting a disease from them or a disease from them than you do from somebody with Starbucks. But yet, a handshake is not bodily fluid, and you're talking about Ebola. Ebola is like AIDS, but it's worse. Ebola is a fast, painful death. AIDS is a slow, painful death. They're generally the same thing, except Ebola is much more severe and more deadly. Yeah, they are.
And I am now on the Ebola watch on the Manning Report here, warning people to stay.
Okay, you're on the Ebola watch. Since when do we have disease watchers? I know there's neighborhood watches, which I perfectly understand. That is the most reasonable watch I can understand. If you live in a neighborhood where it takes about 30 minutes for the cops to show up, I understand the idea of a neighborhood watch, but there's no disease watches. There's no Ebola watch. It's not like you go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks and it's like, okay, somebody's coming in. I'm checking my watch. They're shaking the hand. Now let me check my watch. Let me calculate this time, and then now let me see. Oh, he has a sneeze. Oh, that's a sign of Ebola. Nobody does that. Do you see how ridiculous that is? That's a hypochondriac. That's a hypochondriac more than anything. I mean, if you sound like a bigoted Felix from The Odd Couple. I know Felix wasn't bigoted, but you sound like a bigoted, hypochondriac Felix.
Away from Starbucks if you don't want to get Ebola. And especially the Starbucks in the urban areas where there are large...
Okay, just to be clear, sir, you're African American telling other people and possibly other black people who are watching your video to stay away from urban area shops. Isn't there a message around every place in the world? Shop locally, eat locally, drink locally. So you're telling other black people and anybody, if you go to Harlem and you don't want to get Ebola, don't go to Starbucks. If you go to Starbucks, you'll get Ebola because the gay people will shake your hand and then you'll get the sniffles and the runs and the diarrhea. And do you know how crazy you sound? You sound like somebody who got over the swine flu and is telling people, stay away from here because I got the swine flu from a specific group of people you're targeting. In this case, you're saying, you sound like somebody who got swine flu from a gay person. Now you're saying all gay people carry swine flu. I mean, you're crazy. I can't express enough how crazy you're sounding.
Numbers. And more specifically here in the Harlem area, because a large number of the sodomites and the LGBT crowds that usually and continue to approach the idea of sex, intercourse, and dating on a lower, less visible, less social scale because of the nature of what they want to do and who they are, and the reason why they're fighting so hard to get public recognition. And
okay, asshole. That's appropriate to call you at this point. Listen, gay people don't just go to a random coffee shop or like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts and go, I'm gay, does anybody want to have sex with me? I'm all open. No. No. Not one gay person does that, man or female. Not one gay person does that. If they do, they're crazy. They're idiotic for doing that in public where that's... They know it's illegal. They know it's illegal to have sex in public when everybody watching. They know it's illegal. Everybody knows that's illegal, gay or straight. And so you're saying that it's only gay people that are talking about having sex in store restaurants, while straight people are the ones who are talking about news and politics. Hashtag gay people are in politics. Clay Aiken. It's gonna annoy me continuing to listen to you, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Legality of what they're doing is so they don't have to stoop to all of these dark alley measures that they have.
Okay, at this point you're confusing gay people with Jack the Ripper.
Have to seek after for having sex. but I'm putting everybody on warning. Stay away from Starbucks if you don't want Ebola. Now,
Okay, if you want to stay away from Ebola, it's not that you tell people to stay away from Starbucks. You avoid the places where Ebola is the most. If you want to visit Africa, fine. That's a great... from pictures, it's a beautiful country to visit, but there's places in Africa where there's tons of Ebola cases. I mean, it's not the people's fault that they have it. It's been in that country for decades on end. Now, there's places in Africa where there haven't been Ebola cases in 18, 20, 30 years. If you want to stay away from Ebola, if you want to visit Africa, go to the places in Africa where there hasn't been an Ebola case in 18, 20, 30 years. But if you want to stay away from Ebola, don't go to the places in Africa where there's Ebola cases. It's common sense. And you're saying Starbucks is the cause of Ebola. No. Everybody knows, and from all the news coverage, that the disease originates from Africa. So, like I said, if you want to avoid Ebola, places that don't have Ebola, you want to visit. Places that have it, you want to stay away from.
Let me point something up to you because you may decide not to believe my report. This Dr. Craig Spencer, who was in Liberia, comes back from Liberia with Ebola. He lives right here in Harlem on 142nd Street, 19 blocks from where I'm at present.
And this person you're talking about is not gay, he's straight.
He goes to a place called the Gutter Bowling Alley. Now, you know, you would think that a doctor, because of the fact he's going through medical school, he's had certain kinds of upscale, integral acquaintances, that he wouldn't be hanging out in the gutter, that he would not be hanging out at a dark, dank bowling alley such as the one in Brooklyn that he was hanging out with.
Okay, now, he just happened to be somebody who contracted the disease, but it didn't spread through him as fast as it did everyone else. He's lucky. He done more things in 24 hours than most people have done in their entire lives. So, I think he spent the time of what the rest was left of his health at that moment in a wise way. Now, you're saying he shouldn't have gone to a bowling alley. Well, people from that bowling alley didn't catch Ebola. Just saying.
Except it was a meeting place for sodomites where...
No! Just because it's a bowling alley and just because the majority of Americans don't bowl anymore doesn't mean that gay people automatically go to bowling alleys. We're all human at the end of the day. We're all human. Some of us are sports lovers. Some of us aren't. And there's gay, straight people who do not like sports or bowling. And then there's gay and straight people who do like bowling. I have to move to this side and that side to explain the differences for this guy to understand. This is pretty sad.
They usually don't like to expose that they're sodomites. They haven't come out of the closet yet. So that...
Yes, they have. But not in public. They came out to their closest friends and family before they came out in public. Just saying.
That's what the gutter bowling alley is all about. Now, this Eric Adams, this racist from way back when, who's now the borough president of Brooklyn.
Oh, and you're not a racist? Irony.
To the gutter bowling alley the other day to bowl around a bowling to prove that there's no...
To bowl around the bowling? What? That phrase makes no sense.
Ebola there. But I would say to you, stay away from the gutter bowling alley as well.
Nobody caught Ebola. Ebola is a bodily fluid disease, not airborne.
Stay away from it. And the name of the coffee shop on the High Line where Dr. Craig Spencer went, and I would say stay away from the people that work at the gutter bowling alley, the owner of the gutter bowling alley, and the people on the High Line coffee shop. Stay away from them and their contacts if you don't want to get Ebola. Now here, the matter that we're saying now about Starbucks rather, being ground zero because it is...
Okay, stop using that term. If you're gonna come up with a whole bullshit theory, stop using the term ground zero. And I hate making references to 9/11 because I want to see this country move on. This country has not moved on from that disaster yet. But stop using the term ground zero. That annoys me. That annoys me. If you want to refer to ground zero as the place and memorial where the Twin Towers were, fine. Go ahead, because that's the proper term. But Starbucks, you could, if you want people to avoid Starbucks because you don't like gay people and you think that gay people spread Ebola, you could probably say, don't go to Starbucks because gay people spread Ebola. Simple as that. You could say simple as that. Stop using the term ground zero.
A meeting place for clandestine, if you will, sexual activities where people have not yet come out of the closet.
And for your own information, my friend, some people can't come out of the closet right away because their families are like you, very religious and very homophobic, and they're afraid if they come out of the closet and say, I'm gay, the parents are probably going to be like, we're going to send you to a camp so you can become straight. And you can't do that. Anyway, you can't do that and just tell it. You can send somebody to camp if they're gay to become straight because they are who they are. Gay is a sexual orientation, so is straight, so is bi, so is trans. It's a sexual orientation. It's not a way of life as you homophobic morons call it. It's not a way of life, it's an orientation. People are born that way. And if people can't accept within their own family that one of the family members is gay, that's pretty sad.
Ground zero. If you want to get Ebola, go to Starbucks. If you don't want to get Ebola, stay away from Starbucks.
If you don't want to get Ebola, avoid the places in Africa if you visit that have Ebola. If you want to visit Africa, visit the places that don't have Ebola. You could say it like that because the disease does originate from Africa.
Finally, the question needs to be raised, and the American people need to stand up and see whether or not Obama, the long-legged Mac Daddy, actually...
Ha! Right there. Right there. I said it was the irony. Right there. You called another black guy racist. You're a racist yourself. What you just called Obama is the worst racial stereotype any black person could give another black person. Or any white person could give a black person upon that matter. You're racist yourself towards somebody of your own race.
Missed the call to respond to Ebola when
he didn't fail to call to respond to Ebola. He did what every president should. He did it in a calm motion. He didn't freak out Americans by saying, "Oh my God, Ebola's in America!" He didn't do that. No, what he did was, my fellow Americans, there's been a couple of cases of a disease called Ebola. We don't know or have a cure for it exactly yet, but our top doctors are working on a vaccination. I advise our nation, as of now, to stay calm. Don't get the hand sanitizer out and soak your body in it. I advise people of our nation, as of right now, to stay calm. I'm sure we'll get through this. That's exactly how he handled it, and that's exactly how he should have handled it, and he did not fail to respond to the situation.
There were less than 100 deaths in Liberia, where you could have quarantined, set it up.
You're another one. No, you don't tell people, well, because it happened in Africa, we should quarantine the doctors in Africa. No. We were working on some type of vaccination or some type of temporary cure for it here as soon as we heard it. So it's good that we took those American doctors back, and they were not on the same planes as regular civilians.
In such a way as that there would not been the spread. Now we got 5,000 deaths and 10,000 cases listed. Did Obama fail to respond because of his African birthplace in Kenya?
You're another one. Obama is an American. He was born in Hawaii. His father was born in Kenya. Just because he has the same name as his father does not mean that he was born in Africa. He was born in Hawaii, USA.
Kenya, because of his kinship to Africa, that he did not put the pressure on Liberia as he should. And going forward, is he refusing to go along with Andrew Homo Cuomo and Governor Chris?
Andrew Cuomo is not gay. And second of all, why are you defending those two conservatives anyway? They don't like black people. They made it perfectly clear. They hate black people. They hate poor people. Why are you defending them?
Krispy Kreme Christie on the 21-day quarantine no matter what. Let's see how the Pentagon rules, how Secretary of Defense Hagel rules on this matter, and we will then discover whether Obama has a hidden agenda regarding using Ebola to spread throughout America, whereby the only way we can deal with it is to quarantine everybody in America with a martial law order coming down from the White House. So these are things that we need to be very mindful of, but we're in the middle of a pandemic, my friends, like we've never.
You just protected yourself. You were just going to say, did Obama fail to respond to Ebola to spread more reason to pass Obamacare through the Senate? You were about to say that, then you corrected your own sentence with something even more ridiculous.
Seeing before. So now, whose report are you going to believe? Are you just going to just dismiss me? Remember,
yes, I am going to dismiss you. I don't believe your report whatsoever.
I told you back in 2007 that Obama was a homo. I told you.
Obama's not gay. He's married to Michelle Obama. That says something. Unless Michelle Obama is a transgender woman who is really born a man, but no, that can't be because, oh yeah, she was born a woman, okay? She was born a woman. She's a grown woman. Obama's straight, and yet you're talking about your own hypocrisy about racism.
Back then, that he was ineligible to serve as a U.S. president. I told.
He was not in. He was eligible. He wasn't in. How I can't pronounce the word, but he's a U.S. citizen.
In 2010, that he never attended Columbia University, and
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He got his doctorate degree from there. Except he doesn't like to go by Dr. Obama. Because he said he hated that term.
And right every time. I've never missed a point, and God has not allowed any of my words to fall to the ground. So now, stay away from
Okay. This whole God speech, the words of God made me say this. No. Man created God. This is a fact. And even Christians know this. Man created God. We must serve the person we created. But yet, we falsely tell ourselves that when we die, we're going to go into a place that we created, while the truth fact is, we die. That's a part of life. We all partake in it. And when we die, we're dead. That's it. The only thing that will have some type of a heaven effect on people is the memories that they have of a person. That gives a heaven effect. And there's no heaven, there's no hell, there's no God, there's no devil. That, in reality, we're all human beings. At the end of the day.
Starbucks if you don't want to get Ebola. Stay away from the gutter bowling alley. The gutter. I mean, of all things, the gutter. What's a doctor doing hanging out in the gutter?
It's a bowling alley, not the actual gutter. Drunk people sleep in the gutter. Not in the bowling alley called the gutter.
Stay away from every place that you have seen and that we posted up that this man traversed, and stay away from 142nd Street because this man has touched a whole lot of people. And young boys in Harlem go on a 6-month fast.
Huh? Young boys in Harlem go on a 6-month fast? I think all religious organizations, including Jewish and Christian, all concluded that fasting is dangerous. Okay, so a 6-month fast, so not eating, not drinking, you lose weight, you lose muscle, you look like a cancer patient for 6 months, you could die from starvation. Yeah, that's a good idea to give to young Americans in Harlem.
Having sexual contact with these men that buy you sneakers and give you special treatment.
Oh, so you're saying that they're going to have sex with their fathers? No words. Just no words.
If you want to live, if you want your family, you don't want to give Ebola to your mama, you don't want to give Ebola to...
Are you following this whole Sigmund Freud theory? Please tell me you're not.
Your sister, you don't want to give Ebola to your teacher. Stay away from the likes of a Dr. Craig Spitzer. Stay away from them. And stay away from Starbucks. I'm James David Madden. I'm the Lord's servant.
Lord serving my ass. You're not. You could see why that guy is crazy. In fact, you heard it. You heard his own mouth. I'm not even going to list the description below at this point.